true magnetism comes from being you. So unapologetically harnessing your real, raw truth and natural genius zone and sharing the magic and the mess of the most unapologetic, you-iest version of you. Welcome to the Wild and Finally Fucking Free podcast show. This is a space where truth talking gets real, behind the scenes grit of the future humans is laid bare, and we are celebrating and sharing the real raw stories of change agents, neurosparkly people, the witchy wild women, the deep feelers, the unapologetic sensors, the status quo challengers, and the huge-hearted healers and helpers. And guiding you through this wild ride of entrepreneurship and full heart-led contribution to the world is me, your host, Kylie Patchett, aka KP. I am a proudly neurosparkly, natural-born status quo challenger, and I thrive on helping disruptors, rebels, and revolutionaries find their voices, amplify their message into the world, and harness their raw potential, alchemize it into unleashing your full potency. Not only will I be sharing the behind the scenes of some of the most amazing, most status quo challenging thought leaders, I'll also be lifting the veil behind my own business. In 2024, I 18x'd my monthly income. Still blows my mind to say that. And this year I am leaning into how joyful and fun it would be to shift from 6 figures to 7 figures in a quantum shifting year. All through leading from my full unapologetic voice, my unleashed potency, and with my big, wildly lit up heart leading the way every single step of the way. So together with my guests, I am going to be sharing the mess and the magic, spilling the tea on the identity shifts behind stepping into thought leadership, breaking the ties that bind us, unlearning old patterns, and reweaving brand new ways of living, loving, learning, and leading. We're here to break boundaries, reimagine what's possible, all while collapsing timelines and leading with joy, love, and our fiercest wild woman selves. This is not just a podcast. It is a rebellion. It is a revolution. It is an invitation to join the Mad Hatters collective movement. And by Mad Hatters, I mean all the colourful, creative, gorgeous, world-changing, out-of-the-box humans out there. If you've ever longed to be wild and finally fucking free, this is your sign to lean in. Let's get started. Hello there, beautiful human. This is a little different solo episode for you. This is actually some of the content that I included in my recent masterclass, not the whole thing, but just to cover some of these big furfies that we are taught about magnetism and marketing, and particularly if you identify as my ideal soulmate client, which is a Mad Hatter type of individual who's a little bit out of the box, a little bit woo, often identifies as being a rebel, and also knows that there's some kind of good girl stuff going on over the top, which may mean that you are not speaking your unadulterated truth out there in the marketplace. And so when I was putting together the magnetic masterclass, I was like, what is magnetism in the first place? Like, I know how it feels and what I think is the definition, but when we actually look at it, the definition of magnetism is just the ability to attract and charm people. Now, the word charm, I reckon, sometimes has a little bit of a negative connotation for some of us because it's got a little bit of a flavor of charming, but not for our highest good type of thing. But if you take that at face value, what I truly believe is what unlocks magnetism, and particularly magnetism in a really full, to the brim online world full of many people doing lots and lots of similar work to what we do ourselves. On the surface, I teach marketing and messaging. There's literally tens of thousands of people that do similar things. What I will say though, and this is for all of us, no matter what you do, is that no one has the same lived experience, the same flavor, the same style, the same way of teaching, the same way of offering awareness, packaging information, or opening up new pathways for people as you, the individual, does. But how do we get in our way so much? So I am going to talk about the 3 big things that I would love to invite you to actually disavow when you're thinking about marketing yourself. So these are rules that we have been taught. Now, before we get to those rules, what I would like to offer you is a little status quo stock take at the moment, because we cannot change anything in our businesses unless we are being radically honest with ourselves. And often that takes us to just have a little bit of space, a little bit of reflection time. I'm going to ask you 14 questions. Don't overcomplicate this. If you're out somewhere where you cannot actually write down your answers, you might want to pause this and do this at another time. But if you are somewhere you can write down your answers, it's 14 questions, and I am going to ask you them, and you're going to give me an honest, radically honest answer. So my question to you is, how in or out of alignment are you? Because when I'm working with paradigm shifting rebels who do not yet enjoy the level of impact and influence, and yes, also income that they desire, have three potential Achilles heels. Either they're not owning their genius, or they're not speaking their truth. There's something that is actually diluting, dismissing, being downplayed about the truth and fullness of their power and their full voice, or they're not aligning to their true legacy work. And sometimes it's a bit of all three, right? So to me, these are the three codes for opening up true, effortless magnetism. And so let's go on a quick little deep dive, a little status quo stock take of how your business actually feels at the moment. So for each of these questions, I don't want you to overthink. I want you to give me a gut feel, and you're going to give yourself a score between 0 and 10. And the 0 is, nope, this is not true at all. And the 10 is absolutely true. You got me. So first, and they're actually statements, not questions. My business feels deeply satisfying and aligned to my own values and flow. 0, nope. 10, absolutely true. Quick score. And we're going to move through these pretty quick. Second statement, my business model and offer suite feel sustainable and nourish both me and my clients. 0 to 10, gut feel. Number 3, I'm crystal clear on what I stand for and stand against, and so are my audience. So this comes back to values and expressing them in the marketplace. Number, what are we up to? 4, I feel rock solid, clearly articulating what I do and who I work with. Next, I find it easy to capture the true transformation I offer to create copy and content and sales invitation. Next, I use language that my client uses and understands. In other words, I do not use jargon, flush, or insider sayings that my clients don't understand. Next one, I help soulmate clients feel seen by sharing feelings, stories, and visions rather than facts, figures, and logic. I share the why behind what I do and the golden thread that has brought me here regularly with my audience and potential clients. And if you're not sure what I mean by golden thread, I've used that term a lot on this podcast, but the golden thread that runs through your life that inextricably pulls you to the work that you do in the world. So if I look back on my 17 plus careers, there is still a golden thread of this soul-fueled, sustainable ways of being and creating businesses and using language to capture big transformations in ways that people can understand, and especially through the lens of storytelling. Next one, I gather client rave reviews as part of my process and share them regularly. In other words, testimonials. Next one, I own my genius unapologetically. I share my message and its medicine far and wide. Almost at the end, the clients attracted into my ecosystem right now by my messaging feel like a hell yes. I love them. Next one, I am confident speaking my truth. No good girl diluting or rocking the boat censoring in sight. Again, just a gut feel. 0, not true at all. 10, absolutely true. And second last one, I hold 1000% conviction around the offers I currently have. Hey gorgeous, we interrupt this gold for a delicious invitation. If your whole body has been whispering more lately, more voice, more truth, more satisfaction, more clients of the soulmate variety, more cash, more you, then this invitation is for you. Potent, my sister mind is officially open. This is my high touch, holy fuck, I'm ready sister mind for rebels in good girl clothing who are done outsourcing their power and diluting their magic to fit into someone else's business formula. If you have been craving a space where your strategy, your voice, and your energy all get to be offered, honored, refined, and amplified, this is it. Inside of Potent, you'll get my eyes on your business every single week. Copy mentoring, and that is for brand copy and content storytelling that turns your truth into client catnip. Energetic recalibration that helps you unhook old learned limitation patterns, keeping you quiet, not being seen, not being heard. Real-time, high-touch, one-on-one coaching that actually sees the bigness of your vision, and the kind of sisterhood that does not flinch when you show up in your full, messy, brilliant, phoenix rising from the ashes glory. This isn't surface level support. It's deep, potent, paradigm shifting work that changes who you are as a woman in business and a woman in life. We start in August. Early open access is open right now. For the month of June 2025, inside of this early access open doors period, you will receive juicy bonuses, extended payment plans, and access immediately to my entire library of storytelling gold. You'll find all the juicy details at kyliepatchett.com/potent. And we fill spaces, and there's only 10 of them, and more than likely only 5 by the time you listen to this, because by that time I will have offered them to the existing cohort, the beautiful original OG circle. We do actually take applications on a first come, first served basis. So come and apply, and let's get back to the magic of the episode. And a final statement, I am making regular invitations to these offers, and that is directly translating into sales. Okay, I'll give you a sec, add them all up, or put me on pause. Add it up. 14 statements, 0 to 10, top score would be 140. So beginning at the top, if you gave yourself a score of 100 or upwards, you have a really strong, aligned heartbeat. So your income, your impact, and your influence should be ticking along nicely. Thank you very much. There might be little bits of things that you could tweak, but pretty much you got the underpinning of a good, sustainable business happening. If you score between 51 and 100, I'm going to call that ho-hum. So you're doing okay in some areas, but could well be leaving contribution and cash flow on the table. I'm willing to bet that somewhere along the line, you're sending up what I call the wrong bat signal. And what I mean by bat signal is if you're putting out messaging in a certain frequency or flavor, I like to think of that as a bat signal. And I talk about this all the time, like your bat signal might be very vanilla and ordinary, but actually your proper energetic signature is this delicious, I don't know, like ambrosial, plump, magenta velvet. And so when you're putting up a vanilla bat signal, and people are attracted to that, and they come into your ecosystem and they're like, this is not what this chick, like if you are being your full self in your business, this is not what I expected to see or hear or experience. And then there's a dissonance. And 0 to 50, I'm going to call that emergency, and we need genius, truth, and legacy unleashing life support. Immediately. Now, obviously, that is just a very quick gut feel stock take of your business, but radical self-honesty is what we require before we can actually do anything about this magnetism game. So to me, The three codes that we're talking about are genius, truth, and legacy. So they're the codes that help us shift from an unsustainable business, working with non-ideal clients, a business model that could feel frustrating, heavy, inconsistent cash flow, stuck in a loop of trying hard to do it the done way, but not being able to actually recognize yourself and your truth in your messaging and copy and content. 2, a business that nourishes you, your clients, is in alignment with your most soulful legacy, and you are openly naming and claiming your true fullness of genius. And what I see again and again in my clients is they're letting out like 5% of their power and magic. And when I say claiming, naming and claiming your genius means 100% of you, not just the bits that you feel safe to, not just the bits that feel palatable to others. This is everything, dirt off the windshield. You're out there actually being your full, magnificent self and unapologetically sharing your truth. So you are working with soulmate clients and you are not doing it through any sacrificing of your soul, your scruples, or your sanity. That is the number one thing, because if you are anything like the clients that I love working with, you are a soul-led human, you are here to make a contribution, you care deeply about the state of the world. You have no interest in recreating systems of oppression, doing harm to clients, doing anything that would mean that you're out of integrity. But then there is an entire marketing machine that is trying to give you rules that are very different. And so what we need to be doing is breaking the rules. So let's talk about 3 of them. There's lots and lots of rules that the marketing industry would like to give us, but I've just picked my top 3 that are getting under my skin at the moment. So rule 1, there is a right way. I call bullshit. There is no right way. It doesn't exist. And the only right way, particularly if you're an out-of-the-box human, is to actually break all the rules and be yourself. And this is no matter what the bro marketing brigade tells you, no matter what the coaches coaching coaches to coach coaches pyramid scheme is trying to tell you. And also, obviously, it goes without saying that all of these people that are saying there's a right way have monetized the right way. And so then they want to sell it to you. That is the underpinning assumption, right? But what is the impact of this wild goose chase of finding the right way? It leads you to try on for size plug and play 5-step formulas that don't feel like you, or they give you sales over substance strategies that leave you wanting to, have a shower, vomit in your mouth, or they are trying to put over your unicorn unique brilliance these hype or trend-based one-size-fits-all solutions with no heart behind them. And the problem with that is you are a heart-led human. So when you come across a strategy or a system that has no heart imbued in it, embedded in it, informing it, it feels extremely out of integrity, which often means that you're stuck in procrastination and resistance and you're not actually doing anything at all. And then there's a whole, thing that I want to actually talk about too, which is that there's all these experts teaching you to replicate the way that worked for them. Now, I am just at the very beginning of journeying down the human design kind of lens of things. And I keep on coming back to my genetics training. Like, the geneticist in me was always absolutely fascinated by the simple concept that there will never has been and never will be anyone with the same genetic profile as us. Like, we are individual, as spectacularly unique as a snowflake or each individual leaf on a tree. Every single one of us have a specific design. And that makes it even more laughable that there is people teaching one-size-fits-all solutions that are supposedly going to work for you because they work for them. Just think about that for a minute. That individual who has a different makeup, who has a different design, has different wants, needs, and desires, have different value systems, different lived experience, they're trying to say that the same thing that worked for them is going to work for you. Does that not sound ridiculous? And so the true impact of this is, particularly when you're trying to squish yourself in a box, particularly when you're a unicorn, particularly when you're here to pave new pathways, particularly when it's asking you to go against your values, and particularly when it makes you and lose your truth. All that this does is pull you out of alignment and out of connection to your purpose. So here is the actual fact about this rule. Your way is the right way. Those right way solutions are systems of oppression proliferating. And what I mean by that is they are setting up a hierarchical power system that says the expert has the answers and you do not. You need to mold yourself into the expert's way. It's absolute bullshit. It is unsustainable. And no box has any freaking hope of capturing your unique genius. So please hear me when I say your way is the right way. The sooner that you learn to co-create with the soul of your business, the sooner that you learn to create trust with your inner wild woman to guide you, the better. No one else outside of you has your answers. Please hear that. No one else outside of you has your answers. Only you know what works for you. Only you know what you truly desire. Only you know how much magic you're letting out of the bag. I know I'm getting like soapboxy here, but I feel very strongly. Rule 2, you are not enough just the way you are. Utter bullshit. You are imperfectly perfect. In fact, the more you perform, polish, or perfect to try and do it in a way that shows your polished persona, the further away from your true magnetism you get, and the more you will attract ill-fitting or no clients. The impact of thinking that you need to be different or that you're not enough already is that we have already been taught by our conditioning not to stand out, not to shine, not to rock the boat, that our success sometimes costs others or all the time costs others. And what that means is you're diluting your essence because you're worried, you're too loud, too weird, too much, too this, too that, fill in the bullshit here. It also means that there is people-pleasing censorship going on to make yourself more palatable. And that means that your content is so freaking yawn-worthy and vanilla that you're actually speaking directly to no one. So yes, the fact is when you're your full self in the marketplace, it is quite polarizing. Like your people will absolutely love you and people who are not your people will not. So you need to find some peace around that. The whole point of creating marketing invitations and messages is to speak directly to your soulmate clients, not to cater to every person on the planet. And yet, as women, we've been conditioned to make sure that we're not rocking the boat, or we have also been conditioned to stay small. So being seen and heard often triggers the F out of us. So we're not speaking our truth. We're not delivering our message to the world. We actually stuck in this cycle of, I want to build a business, but as soon as I go to share something, I feel all of these triggers. And so I'm going to retract into my shell. And then I give myself more feedback to say, this is not going to work for me. The other impacts is it's hiding your genius. So you are often dismissing what comes naturally to you. And again, that means that you are not owning your genius. You're not allowing people to have a full experience of you. And so we can't respond. And if you actually think about this, like I've been really feeling into this, like where in my marriage am I turning up? Not as my full self. Where am I not turning up as my full self as a parent? Where am I still performing, polishing, or perfecting in my friendships? Where am I not being fully seen and heard in my client relationships, in my business? Like when you actually start realizing that a lot of this behavior is being taught not to be okay to be yourself, it actually makes you realize that almost all of your relationships are built on not the fullness of who you are. The other thing that means is that you're not owning the transformation that you can help your clients unlock. A lot of us are thinking, and particularly if in the good coaching or the hands-on healing or any of the helping traditions, often we've been taught that X amount of time equals X amount of money. So if you have one session with us, it's $60, or one session with us is, $150. That is a weird little everything. Beg your pardon. And what we need to understand is that we're not selling our time. What we are selling, what we are inviting to is a transformation that we can unlock. So it's not about the minutes involved. And so when you're not doing this, I guarantee that you're not talking about the before, during, and after stories of the transformation that you help clients unlock. And again, that means that you're not showing your brilliance to the world. There will also be, if this thought that you're not good enough is still going on under the surface, there will also be taming and shaming of the parts of you that you feel are unacceptable. So you will only be showing one dimension of your human wholeness, and that means that you're blocking your ideal clients from seeing you. It's also exhausting. Can we just talk about this for a second? If you think that you need to be a perfect, polished version of yourself to be successful in business, you are setting yourself up to always have to work harder than just being your natural self. So your natural self, like I quite often will say, I am brilliant at what I do, and I often cannot find where my freaking keys are. And sometimes I think, God, why do I have to be so freaking human? Like, why can't I just be in my genius zone all the time? That's not how life works. And the more I can lean into sharing the realness and the rawness and the mess and the magic of who I am as a person, the more my ideal clients fall in love with me, and the more I am gently repelling other people. And that is beautiful, because I'm not here to serve everybody, and neither are you. The fact about this whole kerfuffle is that true magnetism comes from being you. So unapologetically harnessing your real, raw truth and natural genius zone, and sharing the magic and the mess of the most unapologetic, you-iest version of you. I want you to be your you-iest version, and all that means is surrendering. This is who I am. Yes, I'm magical. Yes, I'm messy. Yes, I'm positive and high vibe. And yes, I'm flat, and sometimes I feel like the world is closing in on me. And yes, some days I feel on fire, and other days I just want to go to bed. That is part of the human condition. You are showing the fullness of who you are. And your soulmate clients are a perfect fit for the whole person that you are right now. So the truth is that our truth benefits us, and then it ripples out and benefits the world. It benefits us because it's a hell of a lot more exhausting than trying to be something you're not. And then it benefits the world because the world can see us. The world can receive our gift. So please keep in mind, the more you are, the more magnetic you are. It's really not that complicated. Rule 3. Some of the bro marketing people out there will say that you need to be focusing on facts and figures and stats and conversion rates and all of those things. And whilst I love all of that, the Virgo in me is, oh yeah, my sales page is converting at blah, blah, way. That's great. However, when we're trying to convince through numbers and focus on our sales and our stats as the only measure of our success, and also the other thing I see with this is like listing the features or the stuff that you're throwing into an offer, like the 3 sessions and the 90 minutes and the 2 meditations and blah, blah, blah. Or you are looking to be credible by sharing your pieces of paper, so very fact and thinking brained. Or you're trying to be professional, but don't be human. God forbid, don't be vulnerable, because that's what these bro marketing people say. Have a persona, be a particular way. The impact is that it keeps us in the thinking state and not in the feeling state. And here is the rub with that. Your soulmate clients do not say yes from a place of logic, cold hard facts, features, or dry pieces of paper. I have never once been asked to provide my qualifications at all. Never once in my storytelling business or in any form of coaching business actually that I've ever had. Now, there's a lot to be said for regulation of these spaces. I don't want to get down that track because God forbid you won't hear me shut up. What I would like to say to you is your clients care so much more about what you have lived through, who you are truly. And I'm saying truly when you're on your knees at 3 a.m. This is one of my favorite things to remind people. When you are on your knees at 3 a.m. with delight or despair, that's the stuff that moves people. Your clients say yes to you because they feel seen, heard, and moved. They don't care about the features you're providing. They do not care. Please listen. They do not care about the features you're providing. They do not care how many sessions. They do not care how many minutes. They do not care how many meditations. They care because you have shared and shown them the transformation you can unleash, and that is something that they do not feel that they can do for themselves. The fact is that stories make us feel. They're the bridge between thinking, logic, features, facts, all up in the brain, chin-up stuff, and feeling, moving, engaging, relating, and ultimately investing, because investing is an emotional decision. And the key difference here is, here's what I do and here's the piece of the paper, to here's what I believe, here's what I can unlock, and here's why it is matters to you. What does that mean for you? I don't care about the features. Tell me about the benefit. Tell me about the outcome. Tell me about what I can be, do, and have once we've unlocked this together. So if you're not sharing stories, you are absolutely 1000% leaving impact and income on the table currently in your business. So when we think about calling in our soulmate clients, here's why I will anchor all of this around storytelling. First of all, going back to there's 10,000 people that do similar stuff to me. Your story is your most powerful differentiator. No one else has your own unique journey. No one else has your same lived experience. No one else has the same golden thread running through their lives. No one else has the same unique genius. So in a saturated market, storytelling cuts through all the cookie cutter marketing and also the AI generated shit and positions you as the go-to expert, not through pieces of paper or features. It does it because you're creating an emotional resonance that draws in and speaks to your ideal clients. It's like putting out the right bat signal, right? I'm putting out this frequency, and who comes into my field, into my ecosystem, are people that match the frequency I'm putting out. So if you are putting out a frequency that is not you, not is the true fullness of you and your magic and power and transformation ability, opening ability, then you are not magnetizing your ideal clients. That is just a simple energetic equation. So storytelling helps your clients and collaborators feel you. So facts inform, but stories can create deep, lasting emotional connections. So when people feel seen and understood through your storytelling, they trust and remember you. It's so funny when I look back at all of the different places and spaces that I've been in my professional life, even back, and I'm talking like probably 99 up to about 2003, I was actually probably not 99. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Back in the early 2000s, I was a lecturer in the Masters of Forensic Science program that I was a recent graduate of. And I went back to actually lecture there. And it's so funny because when I was teaching big scientific and genetic kind of complex information, I would often use stories to anchor the learning. And it's so funny because I look back and go, oh my God, I've been storytelling my entire professional life. You as a human naturally tell stories. When you go home and go out to lunch with a friend or have dinner with your family, what often happens around the table? You're actually going, oh, you believe who I saw today. I was in the Woolies. Woolies is a supermarket for those of you who are not Australian. I was in the Woolies fruit and veg section and I heard a voice and I turned around and there is blah, blah, blah. You are actually telling stories every single day. You just don't realize that's what you're doing. And when you realize that you can use the same tools, techniques, and flavors, the same way of communicating to be emotionally resonant and help your message to spread organically, because people love to share stories that move them. People love to share stories that move them. And the other thing about storytelling is it unlocks authenticity and builds trust. So again, people don't connect to your polished perfection. They connect to real, raw, and relatable storytelling about the things that have been a challenge that you've transformed through or that a client has gone through. Those storytelling tools and techniques are very powerful. And vulnerability isn't a weakness. It's actually a superpower. It fosters much deeper relationships with your ideal clients, where when you share your truth, you attract clients who naturally resonate with your values and your vision. Storytelling can also differentiate you. So the market may be crowded, but your story builds an authentic brand, speaks to your soulmate clients, It helps you forget the jargon-filled salesy marketing and speaks from your heart, and the right people receive that bat signal. This means that your story is not just about like a marketing tool as it is sometimes taught in bro marketing land. It's a beacon of transformation for those who need it. Your transformation, what you've lived through, what your clients lived through, what's opened up in your life as a result. When you share your challenges and breakthroughs, you give other people permission to do the same, to not feel not enough just because they're going through something tricky. And when you are a status quo challenger like you are, and when you want to shift paradigms, stories are such a powerful movement maker. They inspire action. They build community. So really, when I feel into storytelling, if I had to pick one thing that is like the thing to harness for magnetism, is storytelling. Storytelling opens up a treasure trove of magnetism. And again, it's the ability to do this in an easeful way that cracks open magnetism. So we're not saying tell a story with a certain hook and a certain this and a certain that, the latest reels bloody blah. What we're actually saying is use storytelling, use five senses emoting, use visions to actually share with your clients and help them to feel into your world. Now, there is a lot of different stories that you can share, and I feel like maybe we'll just go through them in sweeping ideas. But actually, there's something that's calling to me to share with you first. What I would say is that we are talking about straight storytelling strategy at this end of this podcast episode. But here's the thing. Me telling you storytelling strategy is a strategy, but there's a whole piece that's underpinning all of this, which is owning your genius and untaming and unshaming yourself so you can tell the truth. Storytelling is like the cherry on top strategy. Whereas what's underneath the surface is all of that energetic and emotional resourcing that needs to happen for us, particularly as women, particularly as often neurosparkly people who are in my community. And particularly, I'm going to add a little dimension to that. A lot of you that listen in this audience are of a similar age group to me. And what I would say is that when we haven't answered our soul's legacy work yet by this stage of our lives, that demand from your soul, from your wild woman, becomes louder and louder. So often the clients I'm working with have been doing a specific type of work in a specific field, maybe in corporate, maybe in their own business, and they're being called to this whole next evolution. And that evolution is as scary as fuck because it requires you to stand in the fullness of your power and your magic. That is the most delicious thing, I reckon, about this midlife transformation transition, is that if you haven't answered the call of your inner wild woman, she is starting to tap her foot going, dude, when are we getting this? Time's a ticking. So let's share the stories that we can share, and then I will share a little bit about my G-Spot program, which is open right now. In fact, the day that this comes out is the closing day for the G-Spot. So the types of stories that ideally we'll be sharing in business is your origin story. So the why behind what you do, what led you to start your business, what pivotal moment sparked your mission, what do you want to share, why do you care so much about this work. Often people I work with, it's because you've been through a transformation or someone in your family has had to go through something that is very potentially painful, traumatic, testing, trying, and that has been that fuel that sparked this fire in you to learn how to help other people through that. Client transformation stories, I've already talked about that a little bit in this episode, but naturally sharing what it feels like to work with you. So not the features. I want to actually hear the benefits and the outcomes through the lens of storytelling. So tell me what your client is experiencing day to day where they are now. Tell me with your five senses, draw me a picture, paint me a vision of how they want to be feeling or what is available for them after the transformation you offer. And then also, hot tip to harness the exact language that your clients are using in your copy and content as well. So don't make it up. If you're not already asking people for rave reviews, I have a spectacular little product called Rave Reviews, and it's about how to do that on autopilot, on repeat in your business. Because if you leave it up to you to ask someone for a review, I guarantee it's not going to happen, or it'll only happen 10% of the time. So this needs to be baked into your process, and it needs to be in a particular way so you can paint the picture of the before, during, and after, and you and your transformation you help people unlock as the bridge in between. I'll put that link in the show notes. Third one, status quo challenging stories. You're here to shift the paradigms. So share what you believe needs to change in your genius zone, in your industry. Challenge outdated norms, offer new perspectives. Share with us the pathway you're inviting people to. Just had a perfect example of this. I wrote a post about the harm being done in some areas of the coaching industry. Very polarizing post, and I knew it would be. And I waited until I wasn't as emotionally charged about this particular thing that I was writing about, which I would always recommend when you're sharing stories, that you need to be doing it when you are neutral, not highly charged about it, because often there will be a piece of you seeking validation or vindication externally, which is damaging yourself, damaging to your audience. Please don't do that. Please don't put yourself in harm's way. Do your own processing. Wait until you feel a sense of neutrality and closure. And if you can't open that up for yourself, seek support with someone that can. But yes, this post has gone crazy, been shared 50 plus times now, shared and saved, many more times than any of my other posts. And I just realized that one of the things that I naturally do is challenge the status quo. When you look at my human design, it is all through my chart to rebel against the authority and the systems of oppression and call to action other people to open their eyes as well. It may or may not be a strong tendency in your own design, but it is definitely important to speak about the paradigm you're inviting people to. Even if you don't want to talk about what's broken already, maybe you just want to funnel all of your mind and heart into creating something new. The other thing is behind the scenes stories are really good. Showing your creative process, showing your values, showing your everyday moments, introducing people to your pets, if that is something that's big in your life. I actually just did a little reel before of my start of my day is always, now that I'm in my beautiful new office space, which is just divine, I have a little altar to my ancestors, thanks to the beautiful Amy Babish and her session with me on her Soul Visionary podcast. She did some feng shui with me and just invited me to have a little corner of ancestors and helpful people as a resource. And so my process when I come into my office each day is to open up my curtains, light all of my candles, and then light the incense and the candle on that little altar space and just say good morning to the ancestors, say good morning to the soul of my business, say good morning to the space in which I create from. And also just have a little check-in of, is there anything that I, as the human behind this business, need to do to resource myself or balance myself or whatever. So sharing the little bits behind the scenes are really powerful. And then secret sauce stories. These are my favorite stories to tell. Secret sauce, you are the secret sauce. So share what you do that is different. Share if you integrate a whole heap of weird stuff. Like my example of this is, yes, I am a copywriter and a graphic designer, but I am also trained in a lot of different energetic and mindset modalities. I'm also a yoga teacher and a breathwork facilitator and see the world a lot through the lens of traditional Chinese medicine, which is something that I studied many years ago. And so that is a weird combination, but it works for me because the work that I do is not just surface level storytelling. It's getting underneath the energetic patterns and opening up any blocks that are to do with voice visibility and receivership. So what is your equivalent? Do you do mindset with human design, or do you have a specific intuitive process that you do? So help us to see the point of difference and your unique offering. Stop hiding yourself from us. Let us see your magic. And then personal lessons. Holy moly, really strong storytelling. So share life experience, share your how your business approach has been molded by your values. This is where relatable, heartfelt stories build connection and trust. The sharing the why behind your work, which often includes a personal transformation or breakdown and breakthrough, is utterly irresistible to your soulmate clients and collaborators. Utterly irresistible. And it's so funny because sometimes marketing gurus, the experts in inverted commas, will tell you that you need to be a particular way, particular polish. And so that doesn't actually allow space for that vulnerability. But we know this as humans. People being vulnerable and being their full selves is beautiful. It's beautiful to witness. It's beautiful to be part of. And it must be said that it is also either deeply magnetizing or can be repelling. And that's the bit that scares us, right? We've got so many parts of us that are scared to be rejected. If you're neurodivergent, you may or may not have the RSD going on as well, so the rejection sensitivity dysmorphia. So you're not sharing from your heart because you're scared of being rejected. And part of the energetic stuff that I help my clients with is actually building capacity to be rejected and to be okay with it, to be judged and to be okay with it, because you're so deeply anchored in the truth of who you are and your full genius. And you're resourcing yourself as a human houseplant, I like to say. So you're making sure that you are doing your self-tending, your self-devotion, making sure you're having enough water, making sure that you're eating well, making sure you're moving your body, all the basics of being a human houseplant. That's what I call us anyway. Yeah, to make sure that you do have the capacity to put yourself out there and know that, particularly building new paradigms, you're a pioneer and you will be judged. And that's okay, because if you're hiding yourself, none of us can see you and none of us will be attracted to you because we can't even hear and see you in the marketplace. So you don't need any tricks out there. You just need to be in your truth. Storytelling is a beautiful way to attract your soulmate clients, and it doesn't require you to have pushy sales tactics, to be out of alignment with your own values. And you do not need to struggle with the exhaustion of being more polished or more professional or more perfect. Sharing stories helps us share our real, raw truth in a way that feels easy and aligned, and that is a beautiful thing. When I made this magnetic presentation, I did not know what was going to come out of it, and I'm speaking to what was included in it. This is not a recording. I decided to re-record it for the podcast, just so it was a little bit more succinct. But the thing that keeps coming back to me is that you heart-led humans, you who want to make a beautiful, juicy contribution, who want to deliver your natural gifts to the world in a way that is in alignment with your values, I hear way too many times that you are trying to fit yourself into formulas that have no soul and no substance, and they're requiring you to do things against who you really are. And too many of these offerings also proliferate that system of oppression that I talked about before, where I am the expert, I have the power, you don't know, you don't have any answers, which is a load of hogwash. I'm sick of seeing the noisy folk that are speaking a lot, that are often out of alignment, not always, but often talking about just the money or just the this or just the that. And they're only showing a very small amount of their persona, the perfect, polished, performative, rock star. Yeah. Where the true ones like you and I are hiding in plain sight. And we're stuck wondering if that's what it takes to really create success. Do we really want a piece of it? And can I just say to you, we need every single paradigm shifter at the moment. The world is crumbling. We can see it. Too many times people out there are manipulated or pressured or FOMO'd into solutions that don't work for them. And I truly believe that helping you paradigm shifters to get clear and amplify your voice and own your genius will actually change the world, because we cannot change this alone. We need to actually all get together and deliver our gifts to the world. So out of all of that passion and raging against the machine of the rules, I decided to actually do something about it. So I am going to be honest and say for the last few months, I've been stuck in quicksand because I went through something where I'm not going to go into it here, but anyway. And it has really felt like I don't know what to move forward with. And what I realized was I was spending so much time and energy raging against the machine, raging against the systems of oppression that are part of this online coaching world, and not actually funneling it into creating something that will make a difference, which is when I decided to open an 11-week group immersion for status quo challenges disruptors, rebels, revolutionaries, out of the box, neurosparkly folk to unlock what I'm calling their G-spot. Yes, I thought it was going to be called magnetic, but she wants to be called G-spot. And the G-spot, she tells me, is where the sweet spot where your genius, your truth, and your legacy collide into effortless magnetism. So this is not just about the strategy of how to speak about you and your work. It's about unlocking those codes so that you are truly stepping into your genius. And especially if you are done playing the palatable, perfect professional game and you're really wanting to unlock this full-throated self-expression, you know that you're not yet saying what you really want to say. You are so ready to magnetize your soulmate people, not people that don't feel like a good fit. And you also really desire, like you're so ready to just get on with creating a soulful, sustainable, nourishing business that feels like a hell yes. And to make your contribution count. I just want to say again, your way is the right way. G-spot is not about cramming you into a box. It is about developing deep, unwavering trust in your own answers, bringing the fullness of who the fuck you are to the table and co-creating with this soul of your business and your inner wild woman who already knows exactly what she needs to do to deliver that legacy. And we need to be tending to the inner parts that don't yet feel safe being seen, heard, and recognized. And that is a key. As I said before, putting strategy on the top of a shaky foundation is not helpful. It sets you up to fail. When you unlock all of that, the genius, the truth, and legacy codes, you become magnetic to your soulmate clients. You show up with rock solid confidence because you are in alignment. You have conviction. You believe in what you're offering. You know the true transformation. And you create a business that is not just soul-fueled, but sustainable and deeply fucking satisfying. No more diluting, no more doubting, no more trying to do it the done way, follow the rules. You were born, your unique genetic profile was born to deliver a specific thing to the world. And that is what we are here to unleash. So right now, the day that this is released on the 8th of April, doors are closing to G-spot. You will find everything at kpcreative.com.au/G-spot. It'll be in the show notes, so you can just click on it on your phone. That's no problem. And she is about unleashing what I like to call your G-spot, as I've said before, which is the holy trinity of paradigm shifting magnetism. So owning your freaking genius, tending to the parts of you that feel shaky, shadowy, or scared of being fully seen, clarifying and amplifying your message so your unfiltered, unadulterated truth roars through loud and clear, no more second guessing, just bold, embodied brilliance, and building a business ecosystem that is aligned to your soul legacy work. So no more doing work just because you can and heaviness or non-ideal clients. So she's open right now. Come and join me, as little as $111 to get started, and I will see you on the inside. This is the only live round for this year, and it includes a huge library of specific energetic storytelling, emotional resourcing, and getting out of your own way brilliance, and also live calls with me so that you can actually ask your specific questions about your own business and your own legacy. And I would love to have you inside, so I'll see you in there. Whether you're joining me for G-spot or not, I really want you to hear that your way and your genius and your truth is the magnetism. So please don't overcomplicate it. You don't have to be a particular way. You don't have to try harder. You just need to surrender to your magnificence and reveal it to us. And if that sounds absolutely terrifying, come join me in G-spot because I'll hold your hand while we do it. All right, my loves, have a beautiful day. Thank you so much for listening, and goodbye. There you go, beautiful one. Another delicious, juicy, truth-talking episode with a disruptor, rebel, or revolutionary sharing the identity shifts and the mess and the magic of leading right on the edge of your expansion and going first as a visionary leader, as a woman creating a business, and inviting people to completely new ways of learning, living, loving, and leading. It is not lost on me that you have invested your time and your energy in listening to the show. I am so grateful for your beautiful heart, for the work that you do in the world. And I know that if you're here, you are more than likely one of what I call the Mad Hatters. So the quirky, colourful, creative, out of the box, often neurosparkly, paradigm shifters and thought leaders. So I'm so grateful that you're here. If you loved this episode, which I'm sure you did, please do me a favor and share it with someone else who needs to understand that their quirkiness and their full unapologetic self-expression is more than enough, and in fact is the secret sauce to growing a wildly successful, abundant, nourishing, sustainable business. So here is to us, the Mad Hatters, the crazy out-of-the-box people saying no to old paradigms and inviting into the new. And if you'd love to go the extra mile, please make sure that you subscribe on the platform that you're on so you never miss an episode. And hey, it would be sweet, sweet, sweet if you would leave us a 5-star review. It means the world to us, and it helps us get this truth talk and this magic and this power out to even more Mad Hatters. So have a beautiful day, and I will speak with you next week.